It's all fun and games till someone gets shot.
Leo is a Bajuquan user born to Nicholas Kleisen, a world-renowned archaeologist, and Emma Kleisen, an alternate in generic research. Leo uses these inherited skills to set off on a hunt for the truth, beyond the mystery of the circumstances of Emma's death. Risking life and limb, Leo obtained confidential data from G Corporation that Emma has been researching the devil gene there. From this data, Leo learns that Kazuya Mishima had sent out orders that the key researchers who were no longer needed were to be taken care of. Around the same time, the Mishima Zaibatsu announces that Kazuya Mishima, the mastermind behind G Corporation, is himself a devil. In this moment, the puzzle pieces fall into place for Leo. Kazuya must have initiated the research so it could gain control over the devil powers and then killed Leo's mother when she was no longer of use. So far, this is kind of breaking down what Leo was actually doing in Tekken 7. It talks about how Heihachi exposed Kazuya being a devil to the world, but also we know that Leo was snooping around in the background. She had an interaction with Yoshimitsu, but it seemed like she was able to complete her research regardless of her interaction with Yoshimitsu. It says, full of rage, Leo is on the verge of a breakdown, but suddenly the word of Leo's father, who was gone missing for many years, echoes in her ear. Listen. Like a lost coin, the truth is only found when your heart is calm and open. Spurred by these words, Leo set out on another journey in search of more concrete answers. Shaheen works with a private military firm and is investigating a mysterious death of his best friend. Utilizing his peaceful negotiating skills, he learns from an executive of the Middle East G Corporation branch that the mastermind is none other than Kazuya Mishima. The wheel of fate must have been turning that day, 13 years ago, when on the same day Shaheen lost his family, he saved Salam from an assassin. It was the first time he used his technique his father's ingrained in him, meant to bring down enemies, to instead save another life. So he was trained to be a warrior, but he's kind of ended up being a savior. Afterwards, Salam told him, you should use such skills to become a shield for those in need. Then he took Shaheen's hand and welcomed him into his bodyguard, and they did not think twice about taking Shaheen under their wing after he saved their precious son. Salam was a bright and full of knowledge. While Shaheen is excellent in fighting, the two grew up respecting one another. Even though they followed their own paths, Salam became the head of an oil company and Shaheen a private military specialist. What I'm reading right now is the most lore Shaheen has ever had. This is amazing world building that we are witnessing. Yet even if their two paths had diverged, they could still work side by side under the same desire to protect the wealth and pride of others. Or that's how it should have been. Instead, Shaheen now returns home to deliver news of a confession he pried from G Corporation executives regarding Salam's death to his family. The next day, just as Shaheen was about to depart, Salam's younger brother, Zarif, approaches him. I want you to finish what my brother could not, Zarif says as he hands Shaheen a sword. It's his brother's treasured blade. Looking into the polished surface, he vows to never forgive G Corporation's tyranny. So this kind of seems like a bio to what we've seen in Tekken 7, because in Tekken 7, we don't know if that ending is canon, but he fights Kazuya Mishima and he's talking all this, yip yap, but it seems like this bio is kind of taking place before then, if I'm not mistaken. But that's good though. I think Shaheen needed this from the start. He needed a whole lot of description so we can understand why he's in Tekken 8 and why he's integral to the story. Steve Fox is a middleweight boxing world champion whose ingenious technique and pace in the ring has charmed him countless audiences. Raised in a facility owned by the Mishima Zaibatsu, Steve went on the search for his real parents the moment he learned he was just a test subject. He encounters Nina Williams by chance and learns that he was made from her genetic material. Although they are mother and son by blood, Nina has never acknowledged Steve as her own. To Steve, knowing his roots was everything. Nina, on the other hand, believes such knowledge to be a mere inconvenience. The bell rings, wrapping up Steve's fight with his past. With his driving force in life gone, Steve becomes a husk of his former self. Uh-oh, this is sounding like we're gonna have a homeless Steve Fox like people were expecting Ken to be in Street Fighter 6. 6, his training buddies Paul, Phoenix, and Martial Law, the trio, the three amigos, senses his desperation and come to his rescue. In quotes, "If you have time to look so down, then you have time for a tournament. If any of us ends up on top, let's split the prize money evenly." As he forces out a fake laugh at his friend's ridiculous words, Steve remembers that his fist holds the power to carve out a new future for him. We've seen this time and time again. Steve Fox, Law, and Paul Phoenix, they team up to win a tournament, and over and over and over again, they're never able to. Hopefully this time around, the story actually progresses beyond just a tournament. Maybe they win. Maybe they steal the prize money like Yoshimitsu did, but instead of giving it to the homeless, they are the homeless. They take it for themselves. Give us something that pushed these characters forward. Although grateful to his friends, Steve turns down their offer to train in the mountains. Instead, he begins his own search for a brand new fighting style. Hold up. A new fighting style? Steve Fox is super iconic. Okay, but look, I know Steve Fox mains is going to get super salty at hearing this, but it makes sense. Steve Fox and Jin Kazama and Yoshimitsu are three characters who have the absolute worst win rate in Tekken 7, and they have had the worst win rate for a very long time. So it kind of makes sense that they would change Steve Fox just as much as they changed Jin, because Jin's win rate is abysmal as well. So of course they will not lose the identity of the character, but I think they're changing his fighting style because his win rate shows that he needs it. But right now, we're talking about the White Angel of Death, now known as the White Reaper, Sergei Dragonuv. Sergei Dragonuv is a user of Commando Sambo and is feared for his alias, the White Angel of Death. There it is. A name he earned through sheer and overwhelming combat prowess. While the world was embroiled in the armed conflict between the Mishima Zaibatsu and G Corporation, Dragonuv joined the King of Fist tournament with a certain goal in mind. However, midway through the tournament organizer Heihachi goes missing, bringing the competition to a halt. There's more to read, but Dragonuv is an interesting character because his story has not progressed at all. He was first introduced and it seemed like he was going to be personally tackling the Devil Gene, chasing down Devil Jin and trying to drag him back to Russia, but all of that was gone. Dragonuv returns home and in recognition of his dedication to his work is granted an extended leave for the first time in his life. Dragonuv is known for extreme work ethic, so much so that it's rumored he works even in his sleep. However, upon returning to his room, it's as if he has a spring in his step. In his studies, Dragonuv opens a safe and removes ancient notebooks with an eerie cover. This usually cold-hearted Dragonuv seems to be in high spirits as he writes. From his unsettling manner, it's clear that it can only be one thing: a list known and feared as the White Angel of Death's list. Uh-oh, is this a hit list? Is this guy pulling out the Death Note? This guy Dragonuv has the Death Note. He's about to go take out targets in his free time. However, in reality, it's nothing more than a bucket list of things that Dragonuv has been saving up to do when he finally gets some extended free time. Dragonuv reads over his notebook and nodding in apparent satisfaction. After reflecting upon his younger self, Dragonuv chooses a task that will be particularly difficult to achieve. With that aim in mind, he sets out to accomplish his goals. It seems like they just debated me. I got debated. I don't know what his goals are, but a hit list, a Death Note, it doesn't seem like that's actually what it is. But that doesn't make me sweat at all because the developers know how we view Dragonuv, what we want out of Dragonuv. And I think the whole reason why they freed him up, they took him out of combat so he can be what he wants to be, what we want him to be. Him being removed from the tournament is perfect to allow him to basically cause havoc and chaos whichever way he finds fit. What his goals are, only time will tell.